real quick one, which is really about CSS4. You remember CSS3 that everyone was really excited about like 10 years ago? I have a question from Binti McGinty that's saying, when are we getting CSS4? Feels like it's due. It's been a long time. When are we getting those features? Never. In all likelihood, there will never be a CSS4. It just doesn't make sense. There was never really a CSS3. So really what happened was a bunch of features which all have their own kind of rollout release timeline and then acceptance by browsers happened around the same time, and a kind of general number or classification was given to it, and it just kind of stuck. Though really, unlike any kind of framework or library, it's not some sort of installation. You don't need to upgrade your CSS to now version 3. It really was just there's some new things you can use, and having that keyword, that tag around, suddenly made people start looking at their CSS afresh. People started wondering about, do we need to change the way we do things? Should we start using this CSS3? Should we start changing the way we approach our CSS? And courses had to update, and people changed their CV to say CSS3. Suddenly you had to revisit CSS in a way you hadn't previously. You know, like in those films where sometimes you get given a magic potion or a magic skill, and then when you go to replenish it, the smart guy says, it wasn't real. It was inside you all along. It was just something made to boost your confidence, you know. That's CSS3. You didn't need an actual package or an actual name to encourage you to start learning more CSS. It was inside you all along. The reason you learnt those things was just because they were new. I get the task of having to learn hundreds of new CSS properties versus learning CSS3 and being able to tick off that one package is more appealing. That's probably why it did become such a widely used term and so popular. But for various reasons to do with naming of features and rollouts, there will never really be a CSS4. If it's useful though to have a group to focus on, you could kind of make up your own CSS4. It would make more sense to just give it a kind of amorphous kind of object name, like those kind of iOS, Android rollouts. So CSS Octopus is what you should be learning. And CSS Octopus includes CSS Grid, CSS Variables, maybe those variable fonts would be useful, selectors, some of the newer selectors, some of those clipping effects would probably be quite useful, image filters. Object fit, I think, is underrated as a property. There you go, that's a set. That's CSS Octopus you should be learning. You'll never get a 4, but if you want to start grouping sets of features that come out around the same time and that are definitely going to have a maximum impact on what would be useful in day-to-day CSS and what things you're going to use, learn those set. What do you think should be included in CSS Octopus? Let me know in a comment, or generally likey, subscribe, all that stuff. Thanks for your time, guys.